Okay, so disclosure, right? When you do your project, you will not have to embed any file. Files already came embedded on your USB. Do not open the USB and look into the USB and open the file because it does change your access time. I want to remind you that again, okay? USB does have auto run and that's okay. Just close it and then you should use Windows and Linux tool. Sometime, and I'm going to give you a hint. There are hidden files on your USB. You need to find them. Okay. I spent a little bit more time to make it better this semester because sometimes, I might not have time and I just add files to the USB and make you find it. You do have more than one embedded file and you might have more than one hidden files. Okay. So make the image, examine the image, and if you don't find it, just document what you find. That's fine. Okay. So today we're going to talk about steganography. Let me share screen. This is going to be our last lab in the semester. I was telling Patricia that I came across a data set for deepfake detection that was super cool, and I started writing a lab for it. And then I just didn't have the bandwidth because I have to test all the Python tools. So I'm going to save it for my ethical hacking class. And you can also watch the video if you've done that class already. But there are a few Python tools that I want to test and be able to. It checks for flutter in the image because they overlay and so on. So, I originally wanted to write this lab with that, but I wanted to focus on your project. So here we are with steganography. This is a practice of concealing secret image or message or file into another file. You probably learned about the term steganography in CIS27 or another security class. You can hide messages, you can hide files, you can hide a lot of things into another file. This is how some malware actually comes down from email attachments. But we are going to learn about the process of embedding. And so I didn't use string because I found that it was very difficult to use, but we are going to use another type of tool. So we are going to embed and we are going to extract. Likely that you are going to see the modern tool is going to embed and encrypt. And so you would have to, in order to decrypt the file so that way you can extract the content, you'll have to brute force the passphrase if you don't know it. Okay, that's my clue for you. Or crack it. Okay, same thing. All right, we are going to download Kali and make sure that you save it to your downloads, right? And then once you have downloaded, don't forget to extract it with 7-zip. So right click, show more options, 7-zip. Do not use Windows extraction tool. Make sure we use 7-zip for Kali because the way that they release it, it's with 7-zip format. So we want to make sure we do that. So once you have your Kali extracted, open up your VBox. Now, when you do your project at home or on your laptop, your desktop, as I mentioned before, make sure you install the extension pack for VirtualBox to match the version of your VirtualBox application. If you don't, you will not be able to connect your USB like what you do here. Okay, I've had students that brought in their computer saying, why can't I add my USB? It's because you don't have an extension pack, and make sure it matches. Otherwise, you're going to get another fatal error. Okay. All right. Click add. After we open VirtualBox, I went to my download, find my extracted folder, open up its subfolder, and open the blue VBox file. Here, for this class, we need to up the RAM and we need to up the processor. So click setting before you start. Go to your memory, change that to 8,000. And processor tab, make sure that it is 4 or more. The Alienware here, it likes about 4 and 8 gig of RAM. So, if you want, you can, if you use USB, this is where you add your USB controller like 2.0 or 3.0 and selected USB, but you still have to connect the device, right? So here, I don't need to do anything else after I change my RAM and my processor. I'm going to click OK and start. So we just need to up the RAM and the processor. Let me close this document. In another class, I actually incorporated steghide, slightly different procedure. You are going to use steghide to embed or hide some data, and you are going to use it to extract the data. Just like any other type of procedure, if you use a software to embed, usually you would need to use it to extract it. However, can you use another software to be able to do that? steghide is part of stegosuite, so likely that you would have a similar tool as long as it's able to read the file extension. So yes, it is versatile to files that have been embedded by another application. But if you want, you can use it the same way. So it tells you here that you can configure it to hide data into image file, sound file. So when I teach 41D, I teach them how to embed it into audio. And also you can do that for other type of files as it's shown here. It uses blowfish encryption, which is one of the best compact encryption that you see. And then you have MD5 hashing for passphrase with the blowfish keys. So this software uses keys for encryption. And then it does pseudo-random distribution. So when we see pseudo-random means that it looks random, but it's not random, right? It would have a seed. And then for the hidden bits in the container data. So once your Kali Linux has started, log in. And we are going to open up the terminal. Let me move it over here. And we're going to begin with running updates. So open up the terminal by clicking the black square. And in Kali Machine, you can copy paste if you don't want to type your command. You can practice typing. So we're going to do a sudo app update first. Now, steghide used to be in Kali, depending on the version. So, but if you type in steghide version and it doesn't recognize it, it's going to ask you to install. So what we have to do is we probably have to install it. Okay. So we're going to run a little bit of an update. Always start your Debian Linux with that. So I'm at step 1, right, in part B. So once I update it, I'm going to make a file, secret.txt, and I'm going to use this to embed into my image, my picture of a cat. So we can do echo, right, and put things in quotation mark for the text you want to append to the file. So this is a top secret message. Close my quotation mark, and the arrow is going to point to the file that I'm going to create when I append the text called secret.txt. So you would need to have a file to be adding to another file. So that's what we're making. Then a way that we need to see if it actually works is we're going to check the property of that file first, right? We want to check the size. And when you embed it into the image file, right? The image file, ideally, it's going to inflate the capacity because you are incorporating two files in one. So first we're going to check our secret file. Okay, and everything is in home directory. So here it tells you, this is my file name. The size here is in bytes. Okay, it tells you in bytes. So if it says 30, that means it's 30 bytes. And it used up 8 blocks. Okay. And for forensic purposes, you see, when you do stat, it's great in Linux. It gives you the MAC time. Modified, access, and change. All the same time because I created the file and I appended text to it and everything is done at once, right? So you have the MAC time is all the same. Okay, so you can use stat command in Kali Linux to check, right, a specific file from your image, not necessarily your USB. Okay. Then we are going to open up Firefox and we're going to find the file that we're going to embed to. So open up Firefox. I'm going to go to Google. And I'm going to search for cat and I want it in JPG. Okay. Be careful about Linux and the difference between JPG and JPEG, because Linux like to use JPEG with an E, right? But in most systems, it will just be JPG. Okay, I'm going to tell you why, because if you save the image here, I know that this is a cat.jpg, but sometime when you right click the image and you save an image as, right? See how it shows JPEG? Okay. Make sure you look at your file extension that you have saved, because when you use it in the command, if it doesn't match the extension, it's going to throw you an error. Okay. So, but wait, if I click on the actual website and I click on the picture and I would save the image as, it saves it at JPG, right? So if you click it in the Google results, it's going to be JPEG, JPEG with an E. But if you open up the website and right click the image and save it as, it's going to save it as a JPG. Okay. So there's two different things to, even though they're both image file, the file extensions are different. So I want JPG, not with an E, does not have an E. Okay. I'm going to change the name. I'm going to put it in home though. Make sure you put it in home, click home. And then I'm going to call this cat with the lower C. So cat.jpg. That's going to be my file. Make sure you save it in home, because if you don't, then it can't find your file. Click save. So what I did was I Google search cat JPG file. I click on the first result, right? And then you can also right click on the right side, or you can go to the website and right click. But if you right click when you get the result on the left, you're going to get the JPEG, which is not the same file extension. Okay. If it's different file extension, you just got to match it with the command. Otherwise, you're going to get error. That's it. Okay. So once I have my cat file saved to home, I'm going to check the size. So we're going to do a stat cat.jpg. So if you have it in other extension, you're welcome. Then make sure that extension match. Okay. Now, if it throws an error, just make sure you check your file name and your file extension and the location of your file. It needs to be in the home folder. Okay. All right. So it shows that my image file, this is the size. So when it says 138,348, that's in bytes. And you can convert that to megabytes or higher, right? Whatever the size, you can state the actual size in bytes, or you can convert it if you want. Okay, and it also show my Mac time. So I just did, I saved my cat picture into the home directory and I checked the size. Then I'm going to install, the next step is to install steghide. Let me move my little, okay, so sudo apt install steghide. And it asks you whether you want to continue, press Y to continue with the installation. And then once I have steghide installed, I'm going to use it. So we're going to do steghide, right? We're going to embed. And if you don't know, you can go to their documentation, read the documentation, or you can use the help option. CF cat.jpg. Make sure the name matches. And Debian for Kali, it molds it for you. It finds the match. And we're going to do a -ef. So we're going to do, so what it's doing is we're going to take the cat image and we are going to embed the file secret.txt into it. EF, right? So we're going to use the EF option and we are going to put secret.txt into the cat.jpg. And here it asks you for a passphrase. Make sure if you create a passphrase, remember it. I'm going to put Kali, K-A-L-I. Press enter. It doesn't change your cursor, so just type. And if you confirm the passphrase successfully, it's going to embed the text file into the cat image file. At this point, we want to screenshot that it is successful and it's done. Then we want to check the capacity to see if it changes, right? We're going to do a stat cat.jpg again. Did it change? A little bit, right? We know that you saw the text file is tiny and you have the cat file size a little bigger, right? But when you embed it, of course it changed the size. So that's the point, to show you that there is size changes, okay? So we know that then through the modification process, if we do steganography, it changes the capacity of the file. It also, right, tell you, here it tells you the birth of the file, right? It should tell you the access and the modified time as well. So we can do the comparison. Make sure we look at the output, compare it to the result from the prior steps, and answer the questions. Then now what we're going to do is we are going to learn a process of using steghide to extract, okay? Now, let's say that you're doing your project and you're using steghide to extract, and you can't because you don't know the passphrase, okay? But you're not sure which file has steganography or embed. So first, you need to use a forensic toolkit to kind of determine like what are the files on your drive, and maybe the forensic toolkit would be able to also find stuff for you, okay? Some toolkits are better than others, okay? So steghide. So this is a way that we can extract, assuming that if we know the password, Okay. And the password is easier to find than you think. So SF, cat, and it's not Cali. JPG. So we would just use the option extract, right, with the extension SF of the embedded file, which is our cat image file. And then I put in my passphrase from the prior step, which is Kali, Kali. And it tells me the file secret.txt does already exist. Do you want to overwrite? So when you extract, it tells me, do I want to save the extracted file over the original one? If you press no, right? If you press yes, it's going to change the actual file. But if you press no, then you have to save it as a different name. For this lab, I'm going to press yes. But in the forensic investigation, you should say no, we want to save it as a different file. So we can see. Okay. Because for the lab, the secret files is the same throughout, right? So take a screenshot at this point. Now we want to read the secret file. We're going to do a cat secret.txt. And it tells us that in this text file, this is the message, which we knew, we created it. But if you didn't, this is how you can read the text file. You can also open Nano to open the file. There are many ways to read a text file. Then we're going to use stegosuite. And stegosuite is a way that we can use graphical user interface where you can drop a file into the box. You can click extract. It has a little bit more option and it runs Java. So this is a way that you can also type in the text message. You can also add multiple files into one file for embed, and it supports BMP, GIF, JPEG, and PNG. These are the files it supports. Okay. I know that you can, so steghide allows you to also use audio file and others, right? But some programs are limited because they only write the function to accept a certain type of file for the low level. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to first install it. Sudo apt install stegosuite. And then press yes or Y to proceed. We need to find another picture. So I have you look for a JPEG file of a dog. And remember the tricky with the file extension JPG versus JPEG, right? So open Firefox back up inside your virtual machine. Go to Google. And I'm going to look for dog JPG file. So you can click on this one, right? Go to the website. It's Wikipedia. Or you can click it and then go to the right side. Or maybe it's not letting me. I have to click it. I'm going to go ahead and save the image as. Make sure that you check your file extension to make sure it matches your command. And then I'm going to make sure I put it in home, and I'm going to change the file name to dog, lowercase dog. So make sure that your file name and extension matches your command. That's important. So I'm going to save it under home, not downloads, home. So you don't have to change the directory. So we're going to go dog.jpg, click on home, and click save. Now we can close our Firefox, come back to our command line or terminal. I did step 13. Now I can check the file size by doing stat dog.jpg. So it tells me this is the file size at the top in bytes and also my Mac time. Now to run stegosuite with GUI, you need to tell that you're using GUI. You can use their the CLI for it completely. I'm going to show you why. So if I don't know what to do, I would go stegosuite because I installed it. And it's going, if you just type the command by itself, it's going to give you some options. You can do the help to learn more about how to use it. You can, that gives you the man page for help. If you use the command, you can use embed, extract, or capacity, which we will be seeing later. But I'm going to do a stegosuite and GUI. So I can open up the application graphical user interface. It's probably easier to navigate. And it's going to show up like this. Okay. So I did step 15. I opened up stegosuite graphical user interface. Then at the top, you are going to click browse. I'm sorry, in the middle, you're going to click browse file, right? And then you are going to make sure that it's in home. Click on home. And what we're going to do is we're going to find our dog picture. So dog.jpg. And we're going to click open. You can also drag the file in there from a location, or you can just browse to it. So I wrote the instruction on how you can browse to it. And here, instead of using a file to append the message, we are going to put in our message. This is another secret message. So this is how you would embed data into an image using stegosuite. Now, if you enter the text field, you are not required to put in the password, okay? But if you add a file to your embedded file, then you are going, or if you embed the files, I should say, you are required to put in the password. That's the key with this application. So if I type in the text message on the top, I just click embed. And it's going to save. Notice that it saves it as a different name. Okay. So once I did that, take a screenshot, look on the bottom, on your terminal, it should tell you where's the file located and what is its name. It should say dogembed.jpg, right? It adds a different file with a different name. Now what we're going to do is we are going to extract, okay? We're going to extract that file. So come back to your graphical user interface, click File, Open, go to Home, and find the dogembed.jpg, the new file that was created with the embed, and click Open. It's the same picture, but we hid data in it. And once you have that, you click Extract. So now you see the message, okay? So the key to stegosuite is that if you use the text box to add data, you are not required to enter the passphrase. It does create a second copy of the file with a different name. And it adds the embed to that file. So once you extract it, you should take a screenshot of this so you know that it gives you the output message here. Now we can close stegosuite. So I want to show you how you can embed it with command line. So come back to your command line, open terminal again. Yeah, when you close the app, it closes your terminal. Then we're going to use the command. You can copy and paste. I'm going to do that because it's long. So make sure that we have the complete command. Oh, sorry. My secret key and unmatched arguments for the index top secret. I tested this earlier. Okay, second. Hmm?
From Embed and saying that there's an error. I was trying to read the data on the file. Yeah,
Yeah, did you look to see if your file is saved as JPG or PEG? Go to folder, open through home. You are in home. What is your cat file? Did you save it? Yeah, you save it as untitled. So right click, change name. And make sure it's in home. Yeah, if it's in there, downloads, just drag it into home or copy paste it. Okay, sorry. I think I have an error on my command here. So look at the example. Let me fix that real quick. -K, my secret key, -M, my secret message, the path to the image file. This is top secret message, home Kelly. Let's redo that again. Getting an error. Oh, my path, I think, is Callie and home. I have it backwards. Oh, yeah, it is home Callie. It's a dog. Maybe I didn't like. Space. Make sure we add the space like right after the quotation. So for step 20, after your secret message, make sure that you have a space. When I wrote it, I probably left out the space. So right here, there should be a space after the quotation, okay? Because it cannot separate the path from the string that appends. So it's going to throw an error if you don't have that space. If you do, then everything is successful. It should show embed data, saving the image. And then to extract, I'm sorry, to embed a file into it, you would just use the option F. Okay. So again, make sure that we have a space right here. So that should work. Did that work when you moved the file? Did that work?
No, there still popped up.
You have to rename it. Make sure it's matching your command. Okay. So in the next step, I embed the secret.txt into the dog image. Any question? Okay. So when we embed correctly, have a good night. If we embed correctly, we are going to see, right, that it actually create a dog embed file, just like what you've seen in the graphical user interface once you embed the file into it. So the first time I did that, it also did the same thing. I added the message in text. The second time I did it, I embed the actual text file, which is secret.txt. And so that means that it creates it in the prior step and it modifies it in the next step for 21. Now to view some of the property, you can use exiftool. You saw exiftool when we did Android analysis and also in the drug dealer case, right? So some software like Autopsy, Bulk Extractor, they already have these tools equipped inside. But if you want to use them individually, you can use command line to be able to edit or view. First, you can view, read. You can also modify the metadata of the file that would be audio, images, video, and PDFs. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do exif tool. Keep in mind that Kali Linux already have this installed. So if you use it in Ubuntu or another version of Debian or another release, you have to install it. So cat.jpg. And it gives you the map information. It also gives you change and date of date and time changes of the changes, and then the file permissions and everything else. So exif just gives you the metadata of that particular file. So we need to note the modified, the access time, and when it was created. Are there multiple modifications? Well, if there are multiple modifications, you will probably also see. So when it was last accessed, it was at 2141 here. But if you see, right, the modification was done a few minutes prior. Then you also have other options like exif2. So this is a C++ based program. You can use to preview. You can also pull thumbnails because, as you know, in forensics, sometimes we cannot recover the entire file, but we are able to see some pieces of it, like its thumbnail, because some of it is still left. Fragments of your file is still left, or even comments of the image file. So we can do exif to dog.jpg. Now let's try it with the dog embed one, because that's actually a file that we added, right? So the reason why I want to show you the two is that sometimes it might not pick up the differences, okay? Because the image stays the same, but if you look at the file sizes, they're different. Okay, that's the key. So you have to pay attention to the sizes, any kind of anomalies we want to see. Most images, if it doesn't come from the web, if it comes from a mobile phone, it would have metadata unless it's been modified. So camera module, if they're using flash, some of these tools will pick up geolocation. So if those things are missing, likely that the file has been modified. If you download it from the web, a lot of time they remove the metadata so that way you don't know where they took the picture, who took the picture, what device they took the picture. But if you have the actual picture that you took from a device, it should have some metadata information. Okay. That's something to note. Okay. So bin walk, technically bin walk is not really suitable for these type of files. Bin walk should be used for like firmware or binary based type of file. If you are looking at malware being embedded, code being embedded into like an executable file or some firmware, then binwalk is the thing for you, right? Like if you want to do malware forensic, especially in this area, you would also need binwalk. The reason why I want to include it is I want to show you how it's done. So in the case you need it later. So firmware, it's good if it would be looking for signatures, for utility files, system-based file, compressed archive file, Linux kernel, bootloaders. These are all the things that are related to operating system structure, which usually is capitalized by malware. So, but for the lab, we're going to use our file that we embedded just to check it out. So binwalk, right? And binwalk has already been installed in Kali Linux, and you're going to do dog embed.jpg. So we might not have a lot of information, likely that when you use it for JPEG or PDF, it's going to be like this. It might not give you too much information, but if you use it for firmware or binary type of structure, it will probably be ideal. Okay. But we know that this dog embed file has embedded file or data in it, right? But it doesn't show you much. Okay, so let's try to extract something from it. We're going to use the -E and we're going to put in the file name. So it tells me, it attempts to do that, but it failed because one, if you have encryption that's applied in the steganography process, it would not be able to extract it. Two, right? This type of tool is not ideal for image or audio based type of file that has been embedded. So it tells you that, yeah, it failed to extract one or more file. So you get like unsuccessful message. So no here, right? Does the output indicate? It might. We have to test it with another tool. Realistically, we know that this file, the dog embed it has embedded file, but using binwalk, it's not very clear. That's my point. So some of these tools might not give you what you need. Okay. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use the capacity extension with stegosuite. Capacity. And we're going to do the dog embed.jpg. And it tells me 7.4 kilobytes. So you can use the capacity option to check the size, the capacity of your file. Instead of using stat, but I think stat gives you more details. Okay, now we can extract. So we learned how to embed already. We are going to extract, right? Your dog embed file from your home directory. And notice that my key is included in the command, right? This is the passphrase that was used to embed. It would be the same passphrase to extract. And the main difference is you use the extract option after the command, and you're still going to have to pass the secret key into that function. So, and if it has the matching key, then it is successful. You can try it with a different key. It will not be able to extract. So it shows me my extraction is completed. My file has been saved. It extracted the embedded file, which is secret.txt. That's the thing that we want to pull out. We want to pull out data and we want to pull out the file that was embedded into our image. Okay, so that was successful with 27. The file that was extracted, it shows you that here and its location. Okay, so before you submit everything, make sure you complete number 29 so we can shut down Kali Linux. And we would answer these questions. Okay, done? Have a good night. Make sure if you have things to turn in, the 7th is the deadline. Yeah, if it's locked, email me. Okay, so what did you learn about steganography? Did I spell that? Yeah, I spelled that wrong, sorry. What tools can be used to hide or extract data in the images? So we learned that steganography is a way that we can hide data, right? Or we can hide files inside another file. It is a way for malicious user or non-malicious user to be able to embed data into files. The tools that we use is steghide and stegosuite, right? And passphrase is required because some of these tools require encryption to embed files, like AES or other type of algorithm. All of these tools use steghide or stegosuite. And how does metadata analysis using exiftool help detect steganography? Well, you get timestamps that also tells you capacity, any kind of anomalies like camera modules, so missing metadata information can also indicate that the file has been modified. It could be that there's some hidden content, right? But the metadata is going to tell you like if it was accessed, modified, etc. And for E, if tools such as binwalk or exiftool finds no embedded files, does that guarantee the image is clean? Not necessarily. You saw we did binwalk and we couldn't find much. So in some cases, you might not be able to pull the stuff that you pull with one tool. You might have to attempt other tools, and the tools that will be more fitting for it. When they remove metadata, likely that you will not find much metadata, but you have to go on the analysis knowing like if there's modified access time difference, okay? And then What did you do to uncover the embedded information in files, right? Talk about how you use steghide with commands and stegosuite, right? Which one requires encryption key or passphrase and which one didn't. They both do, but for what type of procedure? Okay. Yep.
How long should it take to embed a file? Did you take long?
No. For a text file? No. Are you using stegosuite?
Yeah.
Which calls the application? Yeah. Should we open it and read the same? So your image is started to the text. Okay. Are you doing the message one? Yeah, very good. Yeah, let me stop my recording. Let me know if you need help.